I hear I got my ears for? Would I cry? I got my heart for my crying heart. Play that ball. I said, come on, play that ball. I ain't lost my faith at all. Truth is lying upon the shelf. Top secret, majestic 12. Come on, play that ball. I said, come on, play that ball. I ain't lost my faith at all. Truth is lying upon the shelf. Truth is lying upon the shelf. Top secret, majestic 12. I do believe in headmaster class, lecture of equality, a sun and stars. No need to worry when there's no life on Mars. Checking out the border of your inner planetary. Say, don't you feel sorry? Say, no need to doubt. You know that sun is shining, wind will blow away that cloud.
Good afternoon for our viewers in Asia, and good morning to the viewers in Europe. Welcome to this digital event on Total Value Chain Approach on Waste Management. So we're part of two digital events. First of all, the Dutch Trade Mission to Southeast Asia, and second of all, the iGEM Exhibition and Conference. Let me welcome the studio experts here today. We're in the studio in the Netherlands. We have Freek van Eyck of Holland Circular Hotspot. Arnoud Passenier of the Ministry of Infrastructure and Water Management, and Jeroen Kwaagbeur of Human Corp. So glad that you can join us today. So we have about 70, 80 minutes together to guide you through the total value chain approach of waste management. So today we'll talk with several experts, what they need, several stakeholders in the whole chain. We'll have presentations from Thailand, Indonesia and Vietnam. We'll explain what happens over there and what's on top of mind. And then we'll discuss also with the viewers what they think is most relevant for the region. So please use the Q&A. You can use the chat box. Some of the speakers, they will be with us in a pre-recorded session to ensure the quality. But of course, we'll have them in the studio for the discussion. Like, for example, Thor Tummers of Unilever, who's with us via a live stream, also in the Netherlands. COVID-19 has some more restrictions, so, but we're glad you're here via the screen, Thor. So please send in the questions via the chat box. And but without further ado, we would like to start with a word of welcome of the ambassador to the Netherlands in Malaysia, His Excellency Art Jacobi.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Art Jacobi and I'm the Netherlands Ambassador to Malaysia. It is my pleasure to welcome you today to the panel discussion on the theme Value Chain Approach in Waste Management. This event is jointly organized with colleagues from the Netherlands and the Asian 5 countries. This year, as COVID-19 strikes, our livelihood has been impacted and disrupted in many ways. It changed the way we do things now, be it in our daily routines, communication method, business interaction and networking, and of course, traveling. We call it a new normal. And I remember that last year we held our first waste management seminar during IJAM 2019 in the conference room in Kuala Lumpur Convention Center. How things have changed in just 1 year. Thanks to digitalization and technology, and despite the global pandemic, we are able to gather today with a common interest, which is to share and learn the best practices in waste management through the value chain approach. Extremely hot weather, unusually large forest fires, plastic soup in our oceans are just some of the apparent changes to our environment. With an increasing number of people using the limited resources available, we are putting the planet under increasing pressure. Hence, we need to rethink the way we use scarce resources and raw materials as efficiently as possible. Now, throughout the ages, the Dutch have learned the importance of joining forces to tackle issues related to waste management, and with this experience in mind, we recognize that global challenges need global collaboration. I would like to end my welcome with the overarching Dutch campaign, Moving Forwards Together. In the Netherlands, we believe that by taking action collectively and sharing our experiences, we will become more resilient and united in weathering future challenges. I hereby wish all of you a fruitful session, and I kindly thank you for your attention.
So the next presentation that we'll see are a few words of introduction of the Minister of Housing and Local Government in Malaysia.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil wa mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank the Ambassador of the Netherlands for inviting me to this panel discussion entitled Value Chain Approach in Waste Management. I would also like to welcome all the speakers from the Netherlands and ASEAN 5, namely Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Singapore, and all virtual mission delegates from Malaysia. This is the second time that the Ministry is taking part in the International Green Tech and Eco Product Exhibition and Conference Malaysia, that is IJAM. Last year, the Ministry took part in the first waste management seminar during IJAM with the theme Innovating Sustainability. As it has been widely covered, COVID-19 has left all of us with a tremendous impact. It has also changed the way how the world operates, and new norms are introduced. All sectors will have to realign themselves to accommodate a different market demand during COVID-19 times. Waste management sector is no exception to this. If before we are moving fast towards greener, cleaner and cost-effective system, now we have to double up the efforts to achieve a complete value chain system at the same time wary of COVID-19 conditions by practicing new norms. Due to the pandemic, people are conscious about public health and cleanliness. This is the best time to educate them about the importance of having a clean environment. More often than not, viruses are born from bacteria that are not treated. Hence, it is crucial for the waste management system to not leave any residue throughout the eco-cycle from garbage collection to garbage disposal at landfill or at any incineration plant. Moving on to the waste disposal trend in Malaysia, Malaysians generate about 38,000 metric tons of waste daily, and about 1.17 kg is generated on average by each Malaysian daily. Managing solid waste is no small feat. Aside from its complexity, it is also costly. State and local authorities spend between 40% to 80% of the annual revenue on managing municipal solid waste alone. Solid waste management system in Malaysia is still predominantly dependent on landfills, and with the increasing amount of waste generated yearly due to urbanization and population growth. Our recycling initiatives are also seeing steady growth over the years. In 2020, Malaysia has achieved national recycling rate at 30.67%, which is a 2.61% increase from 2019. By 2025, the ministry is targeting to achieve 40% national recycling rate. With the upward trend in waste growth, more facilities are needed to manage the economy of waste before final disposal. The ministry have launched the National Cleanliness Policy. It drew the way forward that countries should be heading to as far as the waste management is concerned. The immediate initiatives are to move towards innovation and technology utilization. The ministry has committed to transform 5 landfills into waste-to-energy plant that is equipped with material recovery facilities to dispose the municipal rubbish. To go alongside, the ministry has also identified several sites to build an integrated waste park that would house all current and future recyclers in that particular region. Concurrently, the ministry has also introduced several programs, namely separation at source, trash to cash, anti-litter campaign, and the need to use metal straws. This can be materialized through a strategic collaboration between the ministry, local authorities, enforcement agencies, and concessionaires to promote separation at source. Enforcement is critical in this department as it would determine the effect of the initiatives. The value chain of waste management approach that Malaysia is currently inculcating starts off with good habits, transition to advanced technologies, strict enforcement, and finally achieve the complete circle of the economic value. An efficient solid waste management will lead to the optimization of resources and minimization of waste through complete value chain approach that will close the loop in ensuring the sustainability of waste management in the long run. This approach can be the catalyst for new business models, financial benefits, and overall sustainable growth. I would like to thank the Netherlands government once again for allowing me to share some experience on this international platform. I would also take note of the suggestion, best practices that will be presented during the panel session to be incorporated in Malaysia. I hope this will be a long-term relationship between countries and also as individuals. I hope to see all of you next year during IGEM, and meanwhile, stay safe and take care. Thank you very much.
So, welcome back to the studio. We have a discussion with the experts here today. We start with Freek van Eyck, CEO of Holland Circular Hotspot. Freek, the minister said closing the loop. I think that's music to your ears, right? Can you please introduce yourself and Holland Circular Hotspot, please?
Hi, thank you, Ruben. Now, 10 years ago, when my daughter was 4 years of age, I heard her explain to others what her father was doing for a living. She said, "My father is giving waste a second life by telling stories." I still tell stories, and it's always around circular economy because that's essential. We need it more than ever, and we're more aware than ever today after COVID-19 that our economy needs to be more resilient. And that's also the work of Holland Circular Hotspot. We want to make circular economy happen at the international level. We do that by sharing best practices from business, as we do today, by sharing the insights from knowledge institutes and the hard-learned lessons from government, of which Mr. Passanier will tell more. And it's essential for us. We cannot create an island of the Netherlands which is completely circular if the world doesn't follow. We need you. We need the ASEAN countries to become circular as well. And that's why we're here.
So you're the track leader of this digital mission to Southeast Asia. For our audience, can you share the overall goal of this trade mission and how can the audience get in touch with Dutch organizations?
Well, if I would zoom out, really, I would say it's about co-creating solutions to global challenges. If I look at the ASEAN 5 region, it's a fascinating region. It's vibrant, the economy is growing, young, dynamic people, but they grow so fast that they have a waste issue and environmental pressure. And if I then look at the Netherlands, we live in a very vulnerable delta, but we managed to keep it livable, the economy vibrant, and we learned the hard way over 150 years what's working, what's not working. We like to share these lessons so that you can leapfrog here. Together we adapted to the local situation and make it happen. Now, we brought great companies and experts together, and you will hear more about them. You can also meet them afterwards in the virtual Netherlands pavilion, look around in the digital platform, and you can even do matchmaking. I would really say make opportunities to get to know these companies better because they have great solutions.
Great, so a lot of opportunities to get in touch with those Dutch companies. You said you've been working in the waste management already for a very long time. Can you describe for us what the value chain would look like in general?
Well, as the minister already said, waste management's first objective is related to public health and hygiene. It's essential. It's also very closely linked to protecting the environment. But don't forget, waste is also research which has lost its way, and we can prevent it leaking to the environment and being lost forever in a landfill. If you talk about activities, just to give you an idea, it's typically about collection, sorting, recycling, energy from waste, and landfilling, to name a few.
Yeah. And then if we take a next step, Holland Circular Hotspot, circular economy. What's the next step? What can circular economy add to the existing value chain?
Well, if you look at circular economy, it's often explained as keeping resources in circulation as long as possible at their highest possible value. So that means it's another way of designing, producing, using, and dealing with waste management. Well, waste management is often the last step in a circular economy. It's an essential first step. Before we go to recycling and recovery, there, for instance, you have to keep resources in the loop by reusing, repairing, refurbishing, remanufacturing, repurposing. So we make sure that waste management can be a catalyst for a circular economy, an essential last step and a catalyst for further development. And remind you that resources are linked to 50% of global greenhouse gas emissions. And by going circular, you can use half of them. If I zoom then in on the last step, waste management is often explained as 5% of the climate problem, but 20% of the solution. So quite essential.
Yeah, maybe one more last question before I move to Arnoud. What kind of companies join this trade mission and what can we expect from them? What can they bring to the Southeast Asian market?
Well, I don't know if we managed to bring up a picture in the back, but if you see, the waste management cycle is related to the economic cycle. And if you plot all the participants of the mission with us, you can see that they're spread out all over the value chain. And that's essential because a value chain is making it happen together. It's linking collection, to sorting, recycling, to making qualities industry needs, to industry uptake, and actually bringing it back in the loop again. And if you look at the companies, you see companies which tackle legacy plastics in rivers. We have smart identifiers for collection systems. We have fantastic sorting capabilities, really dedicated to working also with the informal sector. We have fantastic innovation, which make really top of the bill quality of materials. We have some of the best experts in energy from waste with us in this mission. We have niche solutions for treatment of aerosol cans. We have even companies which can apply single-use plastics and make products out of them. But if we go even more circular, why not make new chemicals from organic waste? And we have a huge packaging solution. So, to mention, there is so much inspiration in this mission. It's inspiring.
Great, great. And also it's a lot about public-private collaboration. So that makes us to move to the other side of the table, because Arnoud Passanier, you're with the Ministry of Infrastructure and Water Management. What if you take the role of the Dutch government, what role do you play also to scale up innovations around circular economy?
Well, it's essential that if you want to change the economic system, you have to do it together. The government can do a lot with regulations, with subsidies, taxes to get the right incentives in the market. But in the end, it's about innovation and partnership, which does the trick to transform our economy to a circular one. Yep. And for that, the government can play a role in connecting a lot of companies in the value chain, but also sharing best practices, scaling up to other regions in Europe and the rest of the world. So the connecting government is one which is often underestimated as a key role to government policies. And we are happy to show the world that with our collaboration in the value chain and together with private parties, we can accelerate the process towards a circular economy.
Yes, so the ministry is, let's say, account holder for the circular economy agenda. And scaling up is one of the, well, I think main targets also. Can you give an example of some of the international programs that you're guiding or that you're co-initiated?
Yes, in the end, it's about creating trust between companies, creating trust about an accountable government, also for the longer term. And we did it by creating a circular economy program for the long term, so towards 2050. That makes it easier to invest in circular solutions. And we did it together with a lot of companies. We have a circular economy national agreement. In 2016, we developed also a Plastics Pact, by example, together with a lot of companies to show that we are able to accelerate the process towards more circular solutions in 2025. And that sort of programs we are developing, and at the same time monitoring our efforts and our results.
Can you mention one example in which country you're developing such a program?
Yes, we already since 2016 we developed a program of demonstration projects together with the industry in Indonesia. So with the Indonesian government, with Indonesian companies, but also with our own innovative companies, and well, we are at the brink towards the implementation of those programs. Yeah.
Great. I think we'll get back to that later during the Q&A. So if you have any questions for one of the gentlemen, please feel free to drop them in the chat box. In the meanwhile, we'll do a poll. You're invited as well to participate and to interact with us. So there will be a question to the audience. And the first one is just to warm up. Where are you from? Because we're very curious to see where the audience is from. Now I would like to go to the first presentation from the region, which is actually on topic of the Heineken Brewery in Vietnam and how they're building a circular economy in the value chain. It's presented by Ms. Holly Bostock.
Hello, my name's Holly and I'm pleased to be able to share with you how we, as Heineken Vietnam, are managing our waste and embedding the circular economy ever more further into our value chain. Heineken Vietnam is one of the leading brewers in Vietnam. We have 6 breweries, over 3,000 employees, and we do produce a portfolio of beers and ciders, but I think the ones you will know us most for in Asia are Heineken and Tiger. Throughout our value chain, we employ, directly and indirectly, 200,000 people. This is everyone from suppliers through to distributors, restaurant owners, and collectively, through that value chain, we have an economic contribution of nearly 1% of Vietnam's GDP. So we have a very big economic contribution. But what about in terms of social and environmental sustainability? Well, actually, we've been ranked as one of the top 3 most sustainable companies in Vietnam consecutively for the last 4 years. This is because we have been embedding our sustainability agenda, called Brewing a Better Vietnam, in our business for the last 10 years. Brewing a Better Vietnam covers many different areas, everything from reducing our carbon footprint and our water use, to supporting communities, promoting responsible drinking, and health and safety. We are also very ambitious when it comes to environmental sustainability. In Vietnam, we have made some 2025 commitments. These include being 100% water balanced, being 100% renewable energy, both thermal and electricity, and having 0 waste to landfill. On this slide, you can see how we are reducing our carbon footprint through our value chain. You see a lot of really great numbers here, 100%, 99%, for example. In 5 out of our 6 breweries, we are 100% renewable thermal energy already. 100% of the fridges that we put in the market are eco-friendly. And actually, we're already 99% on average 0 waste to landfill in our breweries. So let's see why and how we're able to get those great results when talking about our own production. We have a circular production model. So for example, you can see at the brewery in the small loop, our number 1 waste material from the brewery is actually what we call spent grains. These are the leftover agriculture material after the brewing process. We actually sell those. They're highly nutritious for cattle and can be used as for fertilizers as well. So we sell those and they go to farmers. We also buy from farmers. We buy their rice husks, for example, to use as a fuel for biomass. And it's that biomass which is now fueling the thermal energy of our brewery. If we go to the outer ring, one of the other waste products from our process is wastewater. Now we treat this to be a fantastic level of clean water. So it can be returned to the environment. It can also be reused in some of our cleaning processes in gardening. And that treatment process in itself also produces a form of biogas, which again goes back in to being used as an energy source for the brewing process. So we've nicely got a circular model already going in many of our breweries. But what about packaging? Well, for beer, our product is sold in 2 main formats. That's the bottle and the can. We don't have anything in plastic. Now, these bottles also have a circular economy model of their own that you may not have known. When you're having a beer at a bar, a big Tiger bottle, maybe you don't realize that you put it down, it goes back into a crate, and it's returned to us at the brewery. It's inspected, it's thoroughly cleaned, but on average, those bottles are coming back and being used 20 times. After they're no longer good enough, they get crushed and they get sold back to glass manufacturers who use the glass again in a new glass product. What about the crates? So the crates are made of plastic, they're coming back to the brewery, but they have a lifespan of 10 years. After that, the same thing. They are sold back to plastic manufacturers, used as pellets back into the plastic cycle. And then cans. Don't worry, your cans are not being returned to us and reused. Actually, in Vietnam, nearly 100% of all aluminium cans are naturally recycled because of their value. But it doesn't stop us trying to lightweight. So we try and lightweight our bottles and our aluminium cans wherever we can. In fact, recently we just reduced our can requirements by 9%, saving over 4,000 tons of aluminium. But there are also some parts of our packaging we still need to find permanent solutions to. An example is the crown corks on the caps of the beer bottles. So we did a really cool campaign with the Tiger brand where we encouraged our consumers and customers to collect those. In fact, we collected nearly 4 million, and we actually managed to turn those into 2 bridges. Really nice that we could give this back to the communities in Vietnam. But we as Heineken, we are not bridge building experts. So this is probably not a long-term sustainable solution for beer caps. This is the kind of area where we need to find entrepreneurs, find partners to work with to take it to the next level. And we are really trying to expand our value chain thinking. And so now we've been looking at the secondary areas or third areas around our product. So one is at events. We do a lot of really cool events as Heineken. We now have sustainable and environmental guidelines for those events. For example, there's always recycling at these events. There's a no plastic policy. But we also do produce other items. If you go to a bar, you're going to see beer buckets, for example. What happens to those after they're no longer used? The same with the uniforms. Our staff in the brewery or out in the market wear uniforms. Is there a way that we can build the end life cycle stage and make them something even better, perhaps? So we are looking at this even from the concept, like eco-materials. Could we build that from the very beginning when we make materials? So we've set up commercial project teams on this, on the circular economy, full of marketeers, sales staff, to think broader than just our production facilities and our primary product. So this for us is the next frontier and is where the journey is going. What are some of the learnings? Well, the first is expanding that value chain thought process outside the 4 walls of your facility, outside your primary product, taking a longer and broader view of what the value chain is. The second is how you can embed circular thinking into some of the decisions at the beginning, and that's something that we're working on as well. The next is really about that point about waste having a value. So when the market develops, when there are new ways to use waste, it's no longer going to be waste. But you can't always find that by yourselves as a company and alone. So we need the support of entrepreneurs, of partners to work together to help, especially on some of those challenging ones. So hopefully this has shown you how we're talking about circular economy at Heineken, gives you some inspiration and also shares some of the challenges with you too. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks a lot, Holly. So we'll get back to you later on because you're live with us in the live stream. So I look forward to having a discussion. But we go back to the studio first. We have a discussion with Human Corp. So I asked you, Jeroen, can you explain a bit on what you do as Human Corp? He said, well, we have a great corporate video. So I would like to suggest to kick off with that. It's 1.5 minutes and explains very clearly what it's about. So we're going to have a look at the video first.
We all throw away a lot of plastic, but all types of plastic mixed together. To be able to use this mix again, you have to efficiently separate the types of plastic. Common use techniques separate the mix early in their process, recovering 60% of the plastics, so almost half still ends as waste. At Human Corp, we do it differently. We can recover almost 90%, leading to better economics and raw materials of very high quality. We separate plastics with an all-in-one plant near to the source of the waste. The City of Amsterdam already uses our technology to recycle all its post-consumer plastic packaging waste. After removal of all non-plastic items, we shred the mixed plastics into small flakes. These flakes are washed thoroughly, then we put them in our magnetic density separator. By using strong magnets and a special fluid, we can separate the 4 types of plastics in just one process step. Then they're collected separately by type: PP, HDPE, PS and PET. ready to become new products again. The advantage of using our human core process: low cost, low carbon footprint, highly circular and worldwide applicable. We are Human Corp, a Holland-based company. We sell our process to public and private clients all over the world. We believe we have to recycle better. We believe we can. Contact us.
So, thanks Jeroen for sharing this video. And actually, I understood you're an expert on Asia as well, because you lived there for 2 years. Going back to Human Corp and the technology, did you need the whole value chain to scale up this innovation?
Yes, for sure, we need it. I guess to tackle the pollution of plastic and the recyclability of plastic and the circular economy, we need public-private collaboration for sure. And specifically here, Human Corp wouldn't have been here at where it is today, having not the Technical University of Delft, which is a huge technical university in the Netherlands that helped us develop this technology. And also, from a feedstock perspective, we needed the Waste Fund, who is technically the owner of all the plastics in the Netherlands, to supply us with plastic feedstock, yep, which is also a public-private entity, and of course to expand and to get more knowledgeable, more reputation across the world. Yeah. Public-private partnership with governments and local players are very important.
Because can you maybe explain or give an example of some of the first hurdles that you have to overcome when you set up a new company and a new technology like you did?
Well, the biggest hurdle is always trust, of course. Is it possible what you're saying? Is it true what you're promising? But I think specifically to your question, Ruben, we started to build the factory without even having a contract on feedstock, because we trusted that our product was going to be so relevant for off-takers. Yeah. And soon enough, the Waste Fund came to us and were willing to make an important contract. So the big hurdle to get feedstock, that we actually took a little bit of a gamble in the Netherlands, because we understood the market and the importance of recyclability.
Yeah, so actually you need those larger perspectives from the government as well that say, okay, we have a roadmap for the upcoming years and we're going towards a circular economy in 2050. That's why you can make investments like that as well.
For sure, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. One last question. Is the Human Corp technology applicable to ASEAN? What's your local activity over there?
Yes, it's very applicable.
Short answer? Yeah.
Yes, so the feedstock is if it's similar, which it is, because post-consumer plastic waste is across the world is the same. Our technology can handle this, and so we can put similar factories like this one in Amsterdam. We can put everywhere in the world close to feedstock and close to off-takers like brand owners who are able to take our high-quality, pure polymers.
So you're open for business? You're part of the digital trade mission where people can find you and contact you. What kind of partners would you look for?
We need local partners that we can trust, financial partners, off-takers, brand owners, and of course feedstock providers.
Okay, great. We'll get back to the Q&A and the panel discussion later on the technology. Thanks, Jeroen. Now we would like to go to the next presentation, and that's of the Recyclers Association in Indonesia. They work on circular economy program and plastic recycling, and it will be presented by the chair lady of the association, Christine Halim.
Dear colleagues, on this session, I would like to express my regards to all of you who have given me a few minutes of a chance to give a presentation from ADUPI as a Plastic Recycle Association in Indonesia. My name is Christine Halim. I am chair lady of the Indonesian Plastic Recycle Association. The main topic of my presentation is how to build a system of the circular economy on plastic recycle in Indonesia. First of all, I would like to know briefly an introduction about ADUPI. ADUPI is a registered Indonesian Plastic Recycle Association that was established in 2015. One of our main objectives is to build a standardization of plastic recycling material to accelerate the movement of the circular economy system in Indonesia. In our organization, join more than 400 members from various practitioners and entities particularly focusing their business in the plastic recycling industry in Indonesia. Geographically, our members distributed all around Indonesia, and we also established 7 representatives at 7 provinces in Indonesia at the center of the population of this country. Generally, there are 6 existing circular chains of the plastic recycling industry in Indonesia. Start from a single collector and ends up in the household and environment. In this diagram, ADUPI will play our roles as a center to accelerate of plastic recycling circular economy movement in Indonesia, together with the government and any key stakeholders. Here are the 5 main challenges on plastic recycling industry in Indonesia. The first one is there are lack of incentives for the plastic recycling industry, such as the implementation of plastic excise on recycled products, applied of same value-added tax as the petrochemical industry that uses virgin plastic. Next, market demand for recycled product content is still low. This is because the virgin plastic price is cheaper than the recycled plastic. The third one is inconsistent regulations for the recycling industry, such as the existence of a shortcut policy related to banning single-use plastic, and another side that permits for the single-use plastic industry are still allowed. The fourth one is law enforcement's weakness, such as no clear sanction to who throw away plastic waste to the water. Plus, mismanaged plastic waste pollutants have caused low absorption of plastic recycled materials in Indonesia. For example, that most of the waste from the sources still combined and open dumping practice at the most landfill are still common in Indonesia. At the moment, Indonesian absorption on recycled plastic content material just 9%, and this is a very serious problem. Regarding the challenges above, ADUPI has come up with 6 main programs with self-visible and measurable deliverables as a part of the solution to plastic waste management issues in Indonesia. The first one is increase of plastic collection rate at national level. We would like to build a national facilitator team that will provide training for 19 regions in Indonesia and to improve our regional representatives regarding their business capacity building. Next, develop a standardization for plastic recycled material in Indonesia. Lack of plastic recycled material quality and volume that can be absorbed by the recycling industry is one of the main key factors why the recycling rate in Indonesia is low. So that with the education and providing a guidelines book for the practitioner in the grassroots, it will increase of that. The third one is to build a system on data and information networks. Lack of data availability and accuracy is one of the main issues. Therefore, ADUPI is happy to be a part of that solution to provide a data network regarding plastic recycling in Indonesia that could be support government to develop a better strategy and regulation based on the real situation and applicable in the future. The fourth is education and marketing. Lack of education is one of the biggest problems that cause plastic pollutants in Indonesia. Hence, we would like to build a brand through a plastic recycling ambassador who will give various promotional education material, both offline and online social media platforms about plastic recycling which are beneficial for the people, ecosystem, and environment. Aside from that, we also will facilitate an online marketing digital platform to sell various products made of plastic recycled materials who came from our trained handicraft supplier all around Indonesia. Fifth, we would like to build a strong relationship with non-related government institutions and find support from plastic packaging producers to apply EPR initiatives. Last but not least, to run off this ambitious program, we would like to build a strong project management team to make sure that we are on track and could achieve the deliverable and objectives. Here is one of our main focus in the next upcoming 3 years, which is expanding our representative from 7 to 19. The last thing, we would like to focus in build up some partnership opportunities in Indonesia. There are several opportunities we urgently need and potentially to be a partnership. The first one is portable machine technologies. As the world's biggest archipelago country, Indonesia geographically consists of 5 main islands as the center of population and surrounded by thousands of satellite islands. The main problem that all of the plastic recycling industry only available in Java. This means that the collectors are located far from Java should ship their recycles to Java, and it would need some appropriate portable packing machines technology such as baling machines, compactors, etc. And the technical specifications should be supported with the local existing infrastructure. Second, we need an integrated logistics and collection system, as so many collection centers scattered in each area, and so far there is no appropriate system to tailoring among them in an integrated system that would be networking between the collection centers and recycling industry. If that system established, there will be a huge contribution to cost efficiency and effectiveness. The third, training and education for institution capacity building. The lack of skill and knowledge on business and management is one of the most challenging for plastic recycling practitioners in Indonesia, particularly at the middleman level and contractor. Most of them build their business from the beginning by learning and doing without a proper understanding of the legal permits, regulations, financial and tax skills, and also the market segmented. In many cases, we found out that their business falls down just because of the same reason above. Thus, improvement of skills on business management and knowledge is very crucial. Support from kinds of institutions such as education and training institutions will be useful at this stage. Last thing, the joins as a member of ADUPI so that you have given your contribution to build a better management system on the plastic recycling issue in Indonesia. So that brings us to the end of my presentation. In brief, ADUPI through 6 main programs and key results that were presented previously, we would like to take part of the solution of plastic-based circular economy movement in Indonesia. And we are very welcome for future partnerships with any of the related institutions, including the international NGO, plastic recycling industry, online digital platform developer, and many others. Now, if you have any questions, I would be happy to open up the discussion session. For those of you who are interested to become a member of ADUPI, please do register in our website, adupi.org, and check out our Instagram account, @adupi.indonesiaofficial, for more activities updates. Thank you.
Welcome back, and great to see such great initiatives from Indonesia. Let's move over to another very exotic place. It's Rotterdam. One of our speakers is based in Rotterdam. Unilever is based over there. Tom Tortemers, welcome to this, well, let's say studio discussion, but via digital screen. So great to have you. Could you elaborate a bit on Unilever, what it's about, but also what's on top of mind when it comes to circular economy?
Of course, happy to, and thanks for inviting me to the program. Unilever is a fast-moving consumer goods company, and it's a large company supporting over 2.5 billion consumers every day using Unilever brands such as Dove, Breeze, Domestos, or Molto. A circular economy has become one of the highest priorities for Unilever, especially when it comes to packaging. And I would like to emphasize that we look at both aspects. So circular in terms of material efficient resources and environmental challenges, but also economy, as the value of materials is very high and it shouldn't be discarded as waste. So we see both an environmental as a financial imperative to jointly drive the transition for a circular economy and especially for packaging.
So actually, what you're saying is also about new business models with regards to material packaging. Can you give an example of that? How a new business model like that would evolve?
Yes, of course. So it's indeed about new business models, and as we use quite a lot of packaging in all types of materials, ranging from metals, cardboard, and plastic and glass, that we would like to see that used again. So either in new types of forms of packaging, but also in other applications. And this can be achieved if we take a circular design principle. So if we start to design new packaging, we should take the entire value chain into account, including sorting, collection, sorting, and recycling, to improve the quality so we can use it again as new PCRs and new recycled content in our packaging. That would be a high ambition, but it would be valuable for us.
Yeah. And of course, a lot of the companies involved, it's business to business, but you're of course also in business to consumer. So what's your strategy for that in the upcoming years? Because I guess it's also a lot about awareness.
Indeed. So towards consumers, we are a consumer-facing business. We also serve some B2B, but the majority is B2C. So we basically do three things. So first of all, we try to encourage the setup of new waste management infrastructure. Together with governments and institutions like the World Bank, we should work together on at least make sure we collect waste. And we have also partnerships for that, for instance, with Veolia. Secondly, we work together with our suppliers to make sure our own packaging materials are far better in recycling than they're currently. So that's the eco-design principle. And thirdly, we are working with all kinds of knowledge institutes to develop new technologies. And that ranges from new material types, but also working together on new recycling, sorting and recycling technologies to make sure we improve that quality across the value chain.
And if you look to Unilever and public-private collaboration, do you expect anything from the government?
Yes, definitely. So we see that a lot of the systems and at least the incentives in the systems, also mentioned by the previous speakers, are often too much focused on at least making sure something is collected and recycled, and not so much on the quality. So we can really upcycle and use the material again. So the government can create a legal framework where it provides incentives to both collect and process plastic materials or all materials as good as possible, but also make sure that we improve the quality across that value chain and it becomes financially attractive to do so. So government policy is definitely essential to make sure that we do this together.
All right, and do you see any other players in the value chain that you need to move, that you need to innovate?
Yes, we are in touch with a lot of the waste processing companies, but we also see a lot of opportunities in working more closely together with the chemical sector, especially in providing new technologies at scale. So, as mentioned before, the scale of the challenge is quite enormous. If you see the numbers of waste that is used in the Asian countries, but also in other parts of the world, and the chemical sector in particular is big enough to make certain investments that it can process a lot of this material into high quality new secondary raw materials again. But we also see a lot of partnerships that are required with the existing waste management infrastructure companies because they are basically an essential part in the current value chain.
All right, and if you take a look at the ASEAN region, because we have a lot of audience, of course, from the ASEAN region. Do you follow a different strategy for Southeast Asia than for Europe?
Yes, I would say there are a lot of differences you need to take into account. So it's also about the type of the demographics, how cities are now set up, what is the existing infrastructure, how do you set up a new extended producer responsibility scheme, and how do you work with local governments who have a lot of influence about the decision making. But there are also a lot of similarities. So I think we are, as a massive company, also looking for massive solutions. So we try to do something which is really scalable, and therefore we can use quite a similar approach in terms of technologies or the criteria for uptaking recycled content, but the setup of the infrastructure and working with partners is quite local, and also in terms of development. So sometimes you see a lot of technical innovations that are already out there, and that can be applied to a certain region, whereas the same solution can't be applied to another region. So it's a different approach, but we're looking for scale.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, Thor. Stay with us, please, for the Q&A and for the panel discussion. So talking about regional developments, we also see that there are a lot of developments around circular economy and program and public-private collaboration in the field of plastics in Thailand. So we go to the next presentation of PPP Thailand that work on the public-private roadmap from 2018 to 2030. And we're going to watch a presentation of Dr. Oratai.
Greetings from Bangkok. My name is Oratai Pongraktham. I am the Director of the Project Development Department at TEI and serve as a Secretariat of TBCSD. I'm glad to be here and share with you Thailand experiences on public and private partnership for plastic and waste management under PPP Plastics. TEI, or Thailand Environment Institute, is a non-profit organization working on environmental and sustainable development issues. TEI is ranked among the world top think tank on environmental policy. TEI work focuses on national resources, climate change, sustainable consumption and production, and emerging environmental issues. TBCSD, or Thailand Business Council for Sustainable Development, was established by TEI and a group of business leaders to support the country on sustainable development agenda. TBCSD comprised almost 40 member companies as listed in this photo. PPP Plastic, or Thailand Public-Private Partnership for Plastic and Waste Management, was established in 2018 by TBCSD and the Federation of Thai Industries in order to support the implementation of the National Roadmap on Plastic Waste Management, which aim to reduce plastic marine debris by at least 50% by 2027. There are two elements of the roadmap. First is to reduce and stop using these 7 target plastics and replace them by environmental friendly materials. The 7 target plastics, which will be banned in Thailand by 2022, are capsules, microbead, plastic straws, plastic cups, oxo-degradable plastics, styrofoam for food container, and lightweight plastic bag. The second element of this roadmap is to circulate 100% of target plastic into manufacturing streams through circular economy approach. PPP Plastic scopes to support the roadmap prioritize on the following issue: government policy, waste management with circular economy, innovation, education and communication, material flow, data analysis database, and funding. I would like to share with you a brief example of our activities under each of these topics. For government policy, PPP Plastic play a key role in the National Environmental Committee by serving as the chairman and secretary of the working group on promote sustainable use of plastic waste, which is a working group under the Plastic and Electronic Waste Management Subcommittee. We also actively involved in the roadmap development and support the implementation of the activities under the roadmap. For waste management with circular economy, PPP Plastic pilot integrated waste management model into mega cities, which are Bangkok and Rayong province. This is a diagram of waste management in Rayong model, which demonstrate the waste management from sources segregation, and several sustainable treatment approaches to prevent plastic to landfill. Another example is our drop point project, which we established this drop point for 12 flexible plastic packagings and enable the system to ensure the plastic circularity. For innovation, we facilitate the adoption of technology to turn plastic waste into usable materials, such as through recycled plastic rod, bin, plastic bricks, fashion products, and artificial wood. For education and communication, we work with multi-sectoral stakeholders on strategy toward behavior of waste segregation at source. And for material flows, PPP Plastic developed material flow analysis database to monitor plastic from production to post-consumption phase in order to monitor the leakage of plastic into the environment. Lastly, I would like to end my presentation by emphasizing that the success of our public and private partnership for plastic waste management model depends largely on multi-sectoral collaboration, effective communication, and adoption of technology and innovation into the project. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at this contact information. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
So welcome back to the studio. Thank you very much, and great to see all those great initiatives also from the ASEAN region. We invited some participants of the trade mission to share a pitch with us, with a solution that they would think would be valuable for the ASEAN region. So we're going to have a look at all of these pitches, 3 pitches, about 1 minute each. And I would like to remind the audience that you can also vote to see what you think is maybe the most valuable pitch to be applied in your country. Also, after the pitches, I'll go back to the live stream guests that we have, the live stream speakers, and see what they think of it, and also to see what they think of the former presentations. So we're going to have a look at the first pitch.
Every year, we produce over 350 million tons of plastic waste worldwide. Only 10% is recycled or reused, the rest is burned, landfilled, or ends up in rivers and oceans. UP can help you to close your loop on your plastic waste. With the semi-mobile and modular UP Circular Plastic Factory, you can convert your low-value mixed plastic waste into durable and recyclable construction materials for regional and preferably circular application. The UP Circular Plastic Factory is flexible and easy to scale, and through an integrated supply chain approach, we are able to fit in and strengthen the local waste management infrastructure. Working together with local partners and stakeholders in this supply chain is key to the success of the UP Circular Plastic Factory. Specifically interesting for larger scale operations is the UP Circular Plastic Factory XXL, which can process larger volumes of a wider variety of plastic waste and is tolerant to high levels of contamination. We are looking for local and strategic partners in Southeast Asia to further roll out the network of UP Circular Plastic Factories. Interested? Join UP. Together we make our world clean, green and circular. UP. We replastic.
So that was a great first pitch. Let's move over to the next one. That is the pitch of AWACT.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of AWACT, I thank the government of the Netherlands for this opportunity to present how AWACT can assist in maximizing the value of waste through its high-efficiency waste-to-energy technology. Current waste management practices, in particular open dumping and unsanitary landfilling, are under increased scrutiny for a long time already and have received even more attention since the recent COVID-19 crisis. These methods are often not sustainable, thereby negatively influencing human and natural health due to air, water, soil, and other types of pollution. Sustainable waste management is critical to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, improve human and natural health, and to implement a circular economy. This is where AWACT comes in. AWACT is a developer of waste-to-energy projects using its proprietary high-efficiency waste-to-energy technology. AWACT's mission is to replace landfills by using this high-efficiency technology. This technology is considered as the beyond best available waste-to-energy technology.
All right, from the topic, from waste to energy, we move to the next pitch of Sweep Smart.
Sweep Smart is a social enterprise that wants to solve the waste problem in emerging and developing countries. We make sure that the waste is collected, sorted, and then sold to recyclers. And we ensure that this is all done in a clean and in an efficient way, where we use our knowledge from Europe, but make sure that it works in the local context. We can set up the waste centers and the waste collection for whoever needs to handle waste in their area. And as a project developer, we provide the equipment and the design of the whole building. Another one is more the procedures and the training of the waste workers. And then there's the IT part of it, where we set up a dashboard that can manage the entire operations. And we started with a pilot in Bangalore, where we set up 3 centers to show what we can do. And from there it grew, so we now set up 4 in India, 1 in Indonesia, and we're currently setting up another 11 in India.
So great. We hope you really enjoyed these pitches, and we've put down a poll for you, also for our audience to react. The first poll is, which one of the pitches do you think would be most valuable for the ASEAN region? The second poll will be, what's the most important aspect to tackle in waste management in the ASEAN region? And the fourth will be, the professional waste management can be a catalyst for a circular economy. What action is most important in the ASEAN 5 context to make it happen? We have a few questions from our audience, but first let me move to the experts that we have via the live stream. We have Holly Bostock, who is based in Vietnam, Christine Halim. Welcome to the virtual studio over here. If you've been watching the presentations so far, maybe Christine, can I move over to you? And what attracts you? What's the most valuable speech that you've seen, and does it open any new doors for you?
Thank you. For me, the most important, and which will be made in Indonesia, now we have to teach our people to solve. It is the first stage. So if we have a proper material, it will be move the circular economy here in Indonesia.
All right. I'm afraid, Christine, the connection is not so good. So we'll get back to you later. But thanks a lot for also your great presentation. And let me move over to one question from the audience. It's about, let's say, a system where we bring back the plastics to the producers. So the first one is, would a system of extended producer responsibility for packaging strengthen the plastics recycling in Indonesia? Maybe Christine, if please allow me to interrupt you if the connection is bad again, but maybe you can answer in a few sentences.
Yes. So to bring back the plastic to the circle, first we have to. Sorry, my signalnya jelek.
Stay with us live. It's no problem. We go to the experts here in the studio, because Arnoud, I'm sure. We have the EPR systems set up in the Netherlands, and there's a question from IGEM as well. Pay as you throw. Systems like that, are they needed to create more feedstock for plastic recycling? What's your opinion on that?
Well, every country has its own structure and culture, so you have always to look very good to implement a sort of extended producer responsibility scheme. But I think in general, you can say that an EPR scheme gives the right incentives in the whole value chain to get the materials back and also of high quality. So it's very essential to have a scheme where those financial incentives help the businesses to have a solid business case to invest in treating the plastic waste. So in a sense, an EPR scheme is crucial to close the loop.
So a kind of EPR system, a role of the government is needed.
And the government can play a role in setting a legal base for that. But also it's very essential that, and I think Tor Turmes of Unilever can add to that, the companies themselves have to steer in the value chain by giving the right incentives. So with a waste fund they can do, and that's a private institution. And I think that that could be very effective also in the ASEAN 5 region.
So I would like in a bit to move to Heineken and Unilever to see what they think of it. Before we do, Freek, what you've seen so far and also the presentation of Heineken, do you have any, what's your takeaway on this?
I've seen some wonderful and inspirational contributions, so I'm really happy with that. Two things which I find very valuable. One is collaboration. For something to be recyclable, it needs to be collected, it needs to be sorted, it needs to be recycled to a good quality, and there needs to be an uptake. In order to set up the system, we need the government to set up regulation, but let's not forget, in order to scale up, we need business. And I was really happy with Unilever and Heineken because they are a force for good. They are a powerhouse also in the ASEAN countries. So if they can line up their value chain locally, we really can get meaningful steps. I mean, circular economy has lots of lovely and cuddly local examples, and we find them very cute. But time is running up, and we need to work on scaling up this business. And these companies, but also larger industry and chemical companies are key for that.
So Holly, if we may move over to you. You had a great presentation, some great initiatives of Heineken. Could you respond on to that, Holly Bostock of Heineken?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think two things have come out of this which are interesting for me. One is around this collaboration, and I think you refer there like to Heineken and to Unilever. It's around scale. And we are big players, and we need to find, really scalable solutions that work nationwide. And I think that's why, as Heineken, we take our own ownership in our direct products. So, like I was saying about those bottles that come back to us, the reason we can get those back is we incentivize our customers and our distributors, and every crate and every bottle has an incentive on it. And it comes back in the trucks which we are delivering. So we are able to manage that ourselves. And I think that's why it makes it scalable and powerful. The areas where we need to start finding partners, like I mentioned, crown corks or the uniforms. This is hard for us to find then a partner who can sometimes match our scale, and that's part of the reality too. So yes, we need entrepreneurs, but we also need them to grow at a size that we can collaborate with as well. So it's the growth of the industry kind of relies on each other as well.
So we have to bridge that gap, and you have the power to also move to consumers, right? Let's also move over to Tor Turmes of Unilever. Tor, can you elaborate on the former question as well?
Yeah, so I think we see a lot of opportunities that we have and learnings we can apply from the setup of EPRs, for instance, over here. But I would also like to acknowledge that we made some, let's say, the system has some shortcomings which we can address, and especially when setting up new systems together. The focus on quality, as Arnoud already mentioned, but also if you set up EPR organizations, then you need to make sure that you also have enough influence to make sure that you set up collection efficiently. What we didn't do as well as we should have done in Western Europe and some other countries is that we made it quite complex. And scale also loves a little bit of simplicity as well as sustainability does. So if we could make sure that we address those complexities we have introduced ourselves, then that could be very beneficial. And another point I would like to make that if you compare these types of product portfolios, when you go to a retailer or grocery store, that they don't differ that much. So I also see a lot of opportunity in basic harmonization that will contribute to the entire efficiency of the process as well, making it more affordable and better in total.
Great, thanks. So it's also about scaling up. So before in the studio, I'll get back to you, Jeroen, because maybe I have a question for you. But let's see, I understood that Dr. Orotai is with us from Thailand. We saw her presentation, but she has no video. I see you on video. So welcome in the studio with us. Maybe your takeaway on the presentations and the comments that you've seen so far. Can you comment on that?
Yes, so in Thailand, we have to mobilize the partnership among different partners, different stakeholders, including the government, which have to set up the policy for Thailand waste management. And then also we involve private sector in this PPP plastic as well. And we all work together with general public and community to set up this public-private sector partnership in order to tackle this plastic waste. So awareness of this in Thailand is not quite widely accept or known. So we have to work with the awareness from local community and general public, and then also generate infrastructure and enable system to collect all of this waste back. In my presentation, there was one project to collect 12 flexible plastic packaging, the used one, which currently is not recyclable in Thailand. But through our partnership, we actually initiate that project, and it's been working very well since June this year that we just started.
Great to hear all those kind of initiatives, and it's all about scalability. It's all about recycling and getting the products up to quality and to scale it up. Maybe in the studio, Jeroen, to ask you, what about the quality of the materials that we recycle? What are the big bridges what are the big gaps, and how can we build a bridge on that?
Yeah, so the mission of Human Corp is to create a packaging-to-packaging circularity on a mass scale. The factory in Amsterdam can have a 30,000 ton per year input and a 20,000 ton of 99% pure polymer output, which is good for around 700,000 to 1 million households of plastics that we are coping with. And this is a great, the quality of 99% is a requirement for Unilever and other food grade requirements in packaging, but also non-food grade, high-end plastic applications in packaging need very pure polymers. And I think this is a mechanical process, so there's no chemicals produced. It's 100% recycled. And that's why we are now also in conversation with the brand owners like Unilever and others to start offtake contracts as a first step for us to be able to build other factories and plants outside the Netherlands as well.
Yeah. So one great solution of Human Corp, I think also Unilever and Heineken to say, all right, those innovations, we need them. So let's sit on the table, but make sure it's scalable. And that's actually what we need. We move over to a few poll results. And the first question that we had from the audience was, where are you from? Well, we see that a lot of people from Malaysia, of course. but the majority also from the Netherlands, because of course we're in a digital trade mission. If we go over to the next poll, and let's see, so which bits do you consider most valuable? Well, the upcycling plastics, I think that's very, of course, applicable also to the ASEAN region, because it's, let's say, you can apply it directly. So that's great. And the poll 3 was, what's the main driver for tackling waste management in the ASEAN? And most it's on new technology for sorting and recycling. We can say overall that that's actually the outcome of today, that EPR systems and recycling is of course key, and to also to drive the consumers, like for example the big companies like Unilever and Heineken can do through their marketing power as well. So what's the main driver for circular economies in ASEAN 5? That's mainly the consumer behavior as well. So I would say that that's a big outcome, and that's the main outcome of today's session, that it's also, of course, in consumer behavior. And that's also about public-private collaboration, right? That we work together to move the consumer. We're a consumer ourselves, we should not forget. We have to say that for iGEM, not all people in iGEM could vote for the poll, so that might give us some different reactions. And some different numbers. So for now, maybe quick round for the table. One last remark from your side. Only 1 or 2 words. What's your takeaway on today's session?
I like the session. If I look at the expert, there's lots of focus on technology. In a circular economy, we normally say it's 20% about technology, 80% about social innovation and people collaborating together.
Collaborating together. Jeroen.
Yes, my point is that we are just getting started, and we need a lot of energy and a lot of cooperation to go to that and keep that North Star. Yes, the next step.
Arnaud, in 2 words.
Yes, I think that it's amazing how collaboration is, like the PPP in Thailand, is already starting sharing knowledge and innovations and getting things to the market. I think that's essential.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us. I think we can conclude that we started only a great discussion. We invite you all to continue the discussion and register at the digital platform for the trade mission. Also, the Netherlands has a digital pavilion at the iGEM, so you can meet some of the companies over there. You can click. So if you want to continue discussions with one of the speakers or one of the companies that are participating in the digital mission, please do register. For now, I would like to thank you for joining this session and looking forward to meeting you one-on-one or in the next event. Thank you very much.